of 2025 this year, voters in Port Washington Saukville School District approved a $59.4 million facility referendum with 63 support to inform the public. District held 6 community sessions prior to the vote. Your process for something 3 times more expensive, to quote your faction fiction sheet, the Common Council first discussed the data center on January 7, 2025. The council meets twice per month and discussed the project in nearly all its meetings since January. The city has communicated frequently and complied information on its website. The project has been discussed in more than 600 news stories since January. No one with the city signed an NDA related to this project, end quote. However, community engagement meetings are more effective than just posting information online or relying on news articles, because they allow real-time, two-way communication. People can ask questions, share concerns, and get immediate answers, something websites and news stories can't provide. These meetings help build trust by showing the leaders are present and willing to listen. They also give space for deeper conversations where complex topics can be explained clearly and adjusted to fit the audience. While online posts and media reach a wide audience, they lack personal connection and representatives that make live meetings a stronger way to inform and involve the community. Where were the community meetings for the public about Vantage data centers, especially for this TID 5? Why did we not follow the same process as the school district? As far as I know, Port Washington Saukville School District sent out multiple flyers to the community explaining what they need for the district. And where had the public sessions to inform everything that needed to happen? Where were your flyers? I received absolutely none from the city. Having things in the Ozaki Press and elsewhere is not sufficient. So while this project may or may not have been planned in secret, the community was not engaged properly, whether you like it or not. Put the TID into a referendum and give the city a voice. Also, I would like to conclude by saying that residents are growing increasingly frustrated with you and are asking, when are you going to recall your position?
So we want to talk about facts, right? I like facts. One fact is that Vantage and We Energies came in here and lied to their constituents and everyone else watching by saying that they were going to pay the cost of the electricity for the data center. This is a lie, because last week it was published in the Milwaukee Journal Sentinel that We Energies proposed a rate structure for the very large customers, where very large customers will only pay 75% of the electricity cost of the data centers, and 25% gets put on to everyone else. Shame on these companies for lying to us. Shame on these companies for manipulating. It is my right to speak.
Do not shout.
Oh,
Thank you.
Shame on these companies for coming in and lying to your constituents, not just your constituents, but everyone else listening. We're on to the game. And don't worry, I don't just have shame on the menu tonight. More information on this subject is really interesting. The Wisconsin Department of Revenue publishes, as part of tax incremental financing, that the Joint Review Board can abolish a TID. It's really interesting, isn't it? Because the people on the Joint Review Board are all elected officials. Very interesting. Another interesting thing to note is that in each ward in the city of Port Washington, there was less than 1,000 votes cast in the last gubernatorial election. And only 25% of each of those wards are required to create a recall. What's also interesting is that in only 1 week of gathering signatures for a petition, we gathered over 1,000 signatures. Another piece of data that's very interesting is that a recall petition can last for 60 days, or in other words, around 8 weeks with some change. Just be careful what you do.
tonight to talk about two things: city finances and the will of the people. So we keep hearing from the mayor about how our city is broke and we're all going to be living on the garbage cans if we don't bring in our generous benefactors Vantage to save the day. And all we have to do is wait 18 years while paying 7% interest on their infrastructure to start seeing these benefits. Now this line of logic becomes kind of difficult to believe for anyone who's driven by the Taj Mahal of public safety buildings being built on the city's west side. I was actually quite curious how our public safety building stacks up against others in the area in smaller cities nearby over the last 10 years. So I've got some data to show, and I know you guys won't be able to see this, but here's the trend line of city population, and here's the cost of those public safety buildings. If anyone wants to see this, I'll share it with you after. We have one outlier way up here. You guys can guess what city this is. $32 million for a 12,000 population city. So I guess what I'm curious is, why are we constructing a building that's 2.5 to 3 times what a city of our population needs, as measured by our peers? No wonder we need a cash infusion to pay for this kind of outsized spending. With our taxes going up significantly to pay for this building and our water bills going up over 60% to pay for the new water and sewer treatment facility, what was the backup plan if Vantage hadn't saved the day and become a consumer of these fancy new resources? Now on to the second point, the people of Port Washington have spoken via direct legislation and formally requested the city leaders not create this enormous tax increment district without putting the issue to referendum. The development is far too large and impactful to the city's economic well-being and our natural resources for us to continue to be ignored. But that was just the first step in a larger effort to give the power back to the people and say enough to the corporate welfare that is about to cost us dearly. Our movement is growing and the pressure will not stop. You have been derelict in your duty to serve us, and if it wasn't so sad, I would actually admit I was impressed how any elected official could claim to be a public servant while blatantly ignoring the cries from the people they claim to serve over and over again. I'm confident that this case will one day be used as a textbook example of how to operate a city when your primary interests are destroying public trust, ignoring your constituents, and treating people like they're peasants unworthy of a seat at the table.
Your accusations and factual.
Absolutely. Thank
Name
you.
and address, please.
Thank you. My name is Joe Sincata. I'm an attorney. My office is in Shorewood, 1200 East Capitol Drive. I'm here tonight representing a group opposing the data center, Great Lakes Neighbors United. On behalf of the group, thank you. I will say I've only recently become involved in the effort, and to some extent as a result of that, and as the mayor noted, many approvals have been reviewed and decisions made. But I did, on behalf of the group, file an objection to the TID district approval. That was taken up earlier today, as the mayor mentioned. I attended the meeting to observe. The TID was approved. We did not think it was appropriate to approve that, but that is what happened. I do think the council may be aware of that. I didn't want to bring that to your attention. I did file an 8-page objection position statement that I think has some good information in it. We are looking at what to do next on the TID, but also assisting in reviewing other matters. Those would be land use related matters, annexation matters, also the process that has been followed regarding certain issues that have already been reviewed and that still need to be reviewed. The group, as I'm learning about it, and many folks may not even know me until tonight, is large and appears to be growing. I think this is in part, it's fair to say, because these developments, these data centers, raise concerns from a broad range of citizens. Property owners, farmers, business owners, people with environmental concerns. Many of the folks that I know of that are involved in this group, if not most, live here in the city or in the surrounding county area and the communities. At previous meetings of this type, I've made a similar comment to this, which is that these folks have lived here. They have sort of shown their loyalty. They've shown their commitment to the community. They pay their taxes some of them as soon as they can, I'm sure, in full to the city and the county. They do that every day. I think their concern and their care for the city must be obvious. But these are controversial projects, and making a big decision with huge impact such as this requires, I think, that the council continue to consider these issues. You have a particular issue in front of you tonight to consider, as the mayor said, no voting approval. But every piece of this, I think, brings with it the larger implications. And so I think on behalf of the group, as already articulated, I think that is the primary request from me, is that as decision makers, you do take your time and learn the facts and the issues. Finally, to the extent this review and approval process continues,
All right, sir, thank you.
I hope that everyone will continue to be respectful, although unfortunately sometimes things don't work that way. Thank you for the extra time.
Thank you, sir.